How did ancient Amazonians survive the deadliest environment on Earth without modern tools? Their methods are still astonishing today. Before us lie the endless wetlands and dense jungles of South America, bound by suffocating humidity and covered in impenetrable forest. Temperatures here reach extreme highs and drop suddenly. Disease-carrying insects swarm in clouds. The biting humidity can corrode anything exposed to the elements. Floods arrive without warning, and the river can rise 15 meters in weeks. For 3,000 years, over 10 million people lived in this harsh world without electricity, modern medicine, or industrial agriculture. Their survival in the middle of a liquid jungle seems like a real miracle. Beyond our modern understanding of agriculture and engineering, these peoples did not simply endure the Amazon. They learned to use it to their advantage, turning the laws of ecology into their allies. Their cities, agriculture, and way of life were an ingenious system honed to perfection in the crucible of the world's most hostile environment. They knew the secrets that allowed them to feed millions and greet each new dawn despite the fury of nature. This is a story not about struggle, but about civilization, not about confrontation, but about deep understanding of ecology. Watch the video to the end and you will learn how entire urban networks thrived in conditions that we today would consider completely unfit for life, and what engineering solutions allowed them to build a sustainable empire that lasted millennia until a single invisible enemy arrived. What if I told you that everything you knew about tropical agriculture was just the tip of the iceberg?
The basis of Amazonian civilization was not so much their ability to generate food as their phenomenal ability to engineer it. They intuitively understood the critical problem. Amazonian soil is naturally useless. It is acidic, depleted, and washes away in heavy rains. Modern soil scientists face this problem today. Conventional agriculture fails here. Nutrients flush away. Chemical fertilizers don't work. This is why the Amazon has remained undeveloped. The soil makes large-scale farming seemingly impossible. And yet, ancient Amazonians created some of the most fertile, productive soil on Earth. They solved a problem that modern science still struggles with. They called it Terra Preta, Black Earth. This soil was engineered through an ingenious process. They combined charcoal fragments from controlled burning with organic waste, bones, shells, fish remains, plant material. They layered this with existing soil in specific patterns. The result? A soil that holds nutrients for centuries, a soil that regenerates itself, a soil that is still fertile today, 500 years later, without any modern fertilizer input. Modern researchers have studied Terra Preta extensively. They have machines, they have chemistry, they have controlled laboratory conditions, and still, they cannot easily replicate what these people created without any of those tools. Think about that. We have failed to match ancient technology. The carbon in Terra Preta sequesters greenhouse gases. In today's climate crisis, understanding how to create biochar-rich soils could be revolutionary. But we're only now rediscovering what they knew 1,000 years ago. The creation of Terra Preta required observation, patience, and systematic experimentation over centuries. They understood that soil was not a resource, it was something that could be created, and they created abundance where nature had created desert. This philosophy of creation rather than exploitation permeated all aspects of their civilization. It required knowledge, respect for the gifts of nature, and a commitment to long-term thinking. Every element of their agricultural system was part of a unified, well-thought-out sustainability strategy. They did not try to defeat the jungle. They became part of it, using its own cycles for their own abundance. Many of the trees we think of as wild Amazonian species were not wild at all.
They were cultivated by ancient peoples. The Brazil nut tree, considered quintessentially wild and part of pristine nature, was actually managed and encouraged. The same applies to cacao trees, fruit trees, medicinal plants, and hundreds of species we assume are natural. The ancient Amazonians created sophisticated agroforestry systems. They understood ecological succession. They understood which plants fixed nitrogen in soil, which enriched it, which provided food, which provided medicine, which provided materials for tools. Over centuries, they shaped the forest to meet their needs while maintaining biodiversity and ecological balance. They created a living infrastructure, a managed system where humans and nature worked together rather than against each other. The forest itself became agriculture. Entire sections of what we call pristine Amazon are actually human-managed forest gardens, still producing today without any human intervention. The forest continues to feed people because it was engineered to do so centuries ago. This is not clearing and monoculture, this is integration. Modern agricultural scientists call this forest farming. Indigenous peoples perfected it thousands of years ago. They could produce more food per acre in a biodiverse forest system than modern agriculture produces with pesticides and machinery, and they could sustain it indefinitely. The density of useful plants in ancient managed forest was extraordinary. Where a modern farm might have one crop, the Amazon forest garden had dozens of food, medicine, and material sources. A single person could walk through managed forest and find food at every step. But this was not random. It was designed, it was planned, it was engineered. Walking through what we call untouched Amazon today, scientists now recognize the hand of ancient planners everywhere. Trees are arranged in patterns. Useful species are more dense than random distribution would predict. The wild forest is actually a museum of ancient agricultural engineering. And the population density this system supported was staggering. Where we assume low population, archaeological evidence now reveals millions, multiple millions. Modern estimates suggest that before European contact, between 5 to 10 million people lived in the Amazon basin, fed entirely by this agroforestry system. Some estimates go even higher. This was not primitive subsistence farming. This was large-scale food production supporting urban civilizations.
But how did they organize 10 million people? How did they structure society? The answer comes from cutting-edge technology that proves historians were wrong. For 500 years, we dismissed explorer accounts of great cities as exaggeration. We assumed the Amazon was empty. We created the myth of pristine wilderness. That myth is now destroyed by Lidar, light detection and ranging, laser imaging that penetrates the forest canopy and shows what lies beneath. When researchers flew Lidar over the Amazon starting in the late 2000s, they discovered something that should not have existed: perfect geometric cities, circles, squares, straight lines stretching for kilometers through the forest, thousands of them. Massive earthworks, causeways connecting population centers, defensive structures, water management systems, planned street grids, residential zones, agricultural fields. This was not accidental settlement. This was civilization, sophisticated civilization. The Lidar data revealed something that ground surveys could never see: entire urban networks. Some settlements covered 5+ square kilometers, smaller cities connected by engineered roads, population centers arranged in hierarchical patterns suggesting political organization. Researchers documented hundreds of these sites, then thousands. New discoveries are announced regularly. One settlement in Rondônia, Brazil, revealed by Lidar in 2022, shows geometric earthworks spanning thousands of hectares. The planning is evident. The engineering is precise. The scale is staggering. This was not scattered villages.
This was organized settlement. This was urban planning. The causeways connecting these settlements are engineering marvels, built to remain elevated during seasonal flooding, some stretching for kilometers, suggesting long-distance trade and communication networks. The defensive earthworks suggest conflict management. The water systems suggest sophisticated understanding of hydrology. These were not primitive people living hand to mouth. These were organized societies with governments, trade, engineering, and long-term planning. And they built all this without horses, without wheels, without metal tools, without written language as we traditionally define it. They achieved what took Europe centuries to accomplish. They did it in the tropics, in the jungle, in an environment that actively fights human settlement. How? Through knowledge, through engineering, through respect for the ecosystem they lived in. One of the most overlooked aspects of Amazonian civilization was their engineering of water systems. The Amazon is defined by water, floods, droughts, seasonal variation. A civilized society living in the Amazon had to master water, or it would drown them. Archaeologists have documented extensive systems of channels, reservoirs, and managed waterways. These were not random. They show systematic understanding of hydrology. Channels were built to direct water during floods. Reservoirs were constructed to store water during dry seasons. Wetlands were managed to prevent flooding while maintaining fisheries. In some areas, researchers have found evidence of massive canal systems stretching for kilometers, connecting settlements and agricultural zones. These canals regulated water flow, enabled transportation, and supported fisheries. This was not simple ditching. This was hydraulic engineering. Modern hydrologists studying these systems are impressed. The engineering is sound. The understanding of water dynamics is sophisticated. The integration with agriculture and settlement is seamless. These systems allowed dense population centers to thrive in an environment defined by flooding. Without these systems, civilization in the Amazon would be impossible. Yet, for 500 years, we didn't see them. The jungle reclaimed them. The forest grew over them. We forgot they ever existed, until Lidar revealed them.
And then, very suddenly, it all ended. Not because the jungle defeated them, not because their systems failed, not because their cities could not sustain the populations they held, but because of something invisible, something they had no immunity to, something that came across the ocean. When Europeans arrived in the 1500s, they brought diseases: smallpox, measles, influenza, typhus, whooping cough. These were old world viruses that had evolved alongside European, African, and Asian populations for thousands of years. Indigenous Americans had never encountered them. Their immune systems had no defenses, no antibodies, no genetic resistance. The epidemics that followed were catastrophic beyond imagination. Within decades, sometimes within just a few years, entire regions were emptied. Some estimates suggest population losses of up to 90% in affected areas. In some cases, entire cities died faster than people could bury the bodies. An epidemic would arrive. Communities would be devastated. The surviving population would flee or die. Fields would be abandoned. Roads would fall silent. Cities would empty. And the forest returned, remarkably fast. What took humans centuries to build, nature reclaimed in generations. The Terra Preta remains fertile, but there was no one to farm it. The agroforestry systems continue to produce food, but there was no one to harvest it. The cities remain, but they are empty, silent. By the time later explorers arrived in subsequent centuries, there was nothing left to see from the ground. Only trees. The jungle had reclaimed everything. The myth of the untouched Amazon was not created by ignorance alone. It was created by erasure.
A civilization died so quickly and so completely that it left almost no memory in the consciousness of the European world. And so, history was rewritten. The explorers' accounts of great cities were dismissed as fantasy. The myths of pristine wilderness replaced the reality of managed landscape. European scholars decided their narrative made more sense than the eyewitness accounts of conquistadors. But the evidence was still there, under the trees, waiting to be rediscovered.
The rediscovery began in the late 20th century with aerial surveys and satellite imagery. Researchers started seeing geometric shapes beneath the forest canopy, perfect circles, squares, geometric patterns that could not be natural. By the early 2000s, scientists had documented thousands of geoglyphs, hidden beneath trees, connected by ancient roads, surrounded by evidence of dense human occupation. But the real revolution came with Lidar technology. When researchers mounted Lidar equipment on aircraft and helicopters, they could penetrate the forest canopy with laser pulses. The data showed what lay beneath thousands of years of jungle growth. The results were astonishing. Entire urban networks emerged from the data. Not scattered settlements, not primitive villages, but planned cities with organized street layouts, causeways connecting population centers, defensive structures, water management systems. Thousands of sites, hundreds of square kilometers of evidence. In 2021, researchers announced the discovery of dozens of previously unknown pre-Columbian settlements across the Amazon basin using Lidar. In 2022, scientists identified geometric earthworks in Rondônia, Brazil, spanning thousands of hectares. New discoveries continue to be announced regularly. Every year, new sites are found, new networks mapped, new evidence uncovered. The work is ongoing, and every announcement revises our understanding upward. The Amazon is not a graveyard of cities. It is a graveyard of civilizations, multiple civilizations, coexisting, trading, influencing each other. And this changes more than just history. These ancient Amazonians achieved what modern society has not: sustainable civilization. They fed millions of people without degrading their environment. In fact, they improved it. They engineered soil that improved with time. They created agroforestry systems that enhanced biodiversity while producing food. They managed water sustainably. They built cities that integrated with nature rather than fighting it. In a time of climate collapse, this knowledge is invaluable. Terra Preta technology could revolutionize soil restoration globally. If we could replicate ancient biochar methods at scale, we could restore degraded soils across the planet. We could potentially feed more people with fewer chemical inputs. Scientists are actively researching how to apply ancient Terra Preta principles to modern agriculture. Initial results are promising. The agroforestry systems of ancient Amazonia, mixing fruit trees, nitrogen-fixing trees, medicinal plants, offer models for sustainable food production that modern agriculture is only beginning to rediscover. In a world facing food security crises, we have much to learn from civilizations that fed millions sustainably for millennia. Water management systems that prevented flooding while maintaining fisheries could inform modern approaches to climate adaptation. Extreme weather is becoming normal. We need to adapt. Ancient Amazonians figured this out centuries ago. Most profoundly, these civilizations prove that human civilization and nature are not inherently opposed, that civilization does not automatically mean environmental destruction. We have been taught that development requires deforestation, that progress means dominating nature, that civilization and ecology are incompatible. The Amazon civilizations contradict this. They were civilizations. They had cities. They had millions of people, and they maintained ecological health.
This suggests that human impact is not inherently destructive. The question is not whether we affect nature, but how we affect it. Do we destroy, or do we regenerate? We lost this knowledge when these civilizations collapsed. We lost it when historians dismissed the evidence. We lost it when we created the myth of pristine wilderness. And now, as we face climate crisis, we are desperately trying to rediscover what they knew. Perhaps most importantly, this history reminds us of what we lost when these civilizations collapsed. We lost technological knowledge. We lost agricultural techniques. We lost environmental management systems refined over centuries. The knowledge buried beneath the Amazon, knowledge that might have addressed our most pressing modern challenges, was erased not by failure, but by plague, by accident, by the invisible hand of disease. And because it was forgotten, we had to reinvent the wheel. We had to figure out agriculture, city planning, and environmental management from scratch, without the benefit of millennia of accumulated Amazon wisdom. Every site lost to deforestation today is a library burned. Every ancient settlement destroyed is knowledge erased again. The Amazon faces unprecedented threats. Deforestation is accelerating. Industrial agriculture is expanding. Mining operations are poisoning waterways. Cattle ranching is destroying habitat. And beneath the trees that remain, the cities are still there. Thousands of sites, millions of artifacts, millennia of knowledge waiting to be studied. But this opportunity has a deadline. As the forest shrinks, as sites are destroyed, this chance grows shorter. The forest we see today is not empty. It is full of ghosts, full of memory, full of lessons we desperately need to learn. Beneath it, the cities are still there, waiting to be remembered, waiting to teach us how to build civilizations that don't destroy the world. The question is, will we listen before it's too late? Which of these ancient principles of sustainability and engineering do you think we could apply to our modern lives? What aspect of Amazonian civilization fascinates you most? Suggest topics for future videos that you would like to see on our channel in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe